Let's talk for just a second about, the whole idea you talked about. It's kind of a throwback to the industrial time,
Mhm.
a factory to make factory workers, if I may put it that way. And certainly too often we do see education that way. It's kind of like we got the stamp and it's an assembly line. And, every kid that comes through, we just put that stamp on them. And as long as the stamp fits, and when it doesn't, and, then we dumb it down a little bit so that it fits a few more.
Mhm.
Maybe that's an overstatement,
Mhm.
but to some extent, it seems like that's what's happening sometimes. When we talk about people, people are not cookie cutter. I mean,
Right.
people are unique. Every individual is unique and dynamic in their own special way. And, education needs to take a person where they are and bring out the best in them, empower them to be their very best and tap into their full potential, to discover what their gifts and abilities are, and then resource that in a sense. So let's talk about that
Okay.
uniqueness.
Well, okay. So when I say that education is today's system is designed for something in the past, um, it doesn't allow for personalization of education, but the bigger burden is um, the education system was designed with an objective and a goal. It didn't want to create a critical thinker. It didn't want to take on the responsibility of being a tool of personal fulfillment. Its goal was to enable the average citizen to have a minimal level of literacy to function in the society of that time. Okay.
Okay.
I think that the problem that we have is we've taken the same structure. Okay. We call it a waterfall, right? Um, lesson, quiz, lesson, quiz, test,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
start over again, average out the scores and keep moving. Um, Today, we have too much information that our children have to learn to follow that same model. In
Hmm.
those days, you had a small body of knowledge that you had to transfer. So you had time for repetition, a discussion about it, and kind of recycling and going through it so that it wasn't a lot, but you could learn it well, right?
Yeah.
Today, we have a lot more that we're trying to have them learn, and we're adding things that have nothing to do with literacy or education. It's a lot of social things being thrown in.
Yeah.
So that system can't work. See what I'm saying? That system
Yeah.
can't work because we're asking the system to do a lot more. One of the things that I have always decried is that in the past, we had the idea that a person could go to college, that the purpose of primary education was basic literature, right? And then when you went on to middle school and high school, gradually in each phase, um, a little bit more was added to it. In middle school, you would get a little bit more into more sophisticated maths and sciences and learning. And in high school, you could break out and continue on to further mastery. And the idea was there, you could either go into a trade. So there was a vocational technical school. You could look at a business track. You could look at a college track, or you can just do general studies and just figure out where you were going to go.
Yeah.
Now we have this ideology that everybody needs to be college ready, not life ready, but everybody needs to be college ready. And then somebody somewhere said, you know what? Those really smart guys in college at those liberal arts schools, they do these critical thinking exercises. They do all this wonderful stuff. How about if we have high schoolers do that? And then somebody said, oh, those high schoolers, it's not really working out because we haven't pushed it low enough. And so they keep taking these advanced criteria and they're trying to push it further and further and further down. And they're ignoring human nature. And
Hmm.
human nature says not everybody is going to be a critical thinker. Not everybody is going to be or desire to go to a liberal arts college and think about the great things of the universe. So the system can't work because it doesn't have a clear objective. And we never answer that question. What's the objective? What is the purpose of it? If we say A, we need to have a basic level of literacy, that a person can function in a democracy and make an informed and educated decisions about the direction of the country and the people that they elect, right? You start there, and that's why education is compulsory. Then you have to say, B, we need them to be competitive enough to be able to build the economy of the United States. I know I talk a lot, but
No, that's great. That's great.
um,
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
so then we look at that. So we have to identify those objectives. Our objective in education cannot be to just become more educated, and that's where we are, and
Yeah,
that's where we're running into problems. Is we're educating to become more educated,
yeah,
and so we have no objectives. It's not clear.
yeah. It's kind of like a system that's selling up.
Yeah.
And so we're always trying to get more and more buy-in, whether it's really always beneficial to the individual or not, or the society.